Okay, good morning, everybody, as we go to the Chitas of today. We're holding in the book of Devarim, starting again, V'zeis HaBracha. We're holding on chapter 33, verse number 1. V'zeis HaBracha, Asher Beirach Moshe, this is the bracha that Moshe Rabbeinu blessed Ishalakin, the man of God, has been Yisrael, the children of Israel, of name Moshe, before he died. V'zeis HaBracha, Rashi says, close to his death, but not now, in Meimasai, if not now, when? He said, Hashem came from Sinai, and he said, shun forward coming from Mount Seir. I fear Mahar Paran. He came from Mount Paran. He came with myriads of angels. And he gave his law in the right hand with a fire. Rashi says, first began to praise God, then proceeded to speak about the Israel needs, and the praise with which he began also calls to mind Israel's merit. All of this was done in a manner to achieve favor. As I say, these people are worthy to blessing resting upon them. Misine Ba came forth and met them when they came to stand at the foot of the mountain, just as a groom goes forth to greet his bride. As it says, towards God, to which we learn that God came towards them to meet them. Zarach Messiah Lami came from Mount Seir, meaning he first proposed to the descendants of Esau. If they wanted to accept the Torah, they said no. I feel them to them. Mahar Paran, he came, then he went to Mount Paran, and there he proposed to the Ishmaelites. If they want to accept upon themselves the Torah, and they said no. And then he came to the Jewish people. With him, who were only part of the myriads of his holy angels, but neither all of them nor most of them. Unlike a human king who displays all of his glories, riches, and splendors on his wedding day, God doesn't have to show off. Age das lame. Now she says a fairy law which was already pre-existed creation. The Torah is pre-existed creation, written before him in black fire upon white fire. He gave it to them in the tablets inscribed with his right hand. Another explanation of H das to Ministun as Unkelis translated. He gave it to them while speaking out of the fire. There's many interpretations to this verse. Indeed, he showed love for nations, tribes. All his holy ones are in his hands. They crowd at his feet. They bear the responsibility to fill your utterances. Now she says he also showed the tribes the most dear, each tribe individually called a nation. As evident the fact that the Holy One, blessed be he, said to Jacob, a nation and a community nation will come forth from you. And the only one who was not born then was Benjamin. And he called the nation. Called Kedusha B'Yadecha. These are the souls of the righteous who are stored with him. Similar to what it says, may my master's soul be bound, the bond of life. Tzedek is the shmase. That they are bound with God. They are worthy of this blessing. For at Sinai they converged into the area beneath the mountain. The word of your feet, at your feet, tuku, is a passive form. They are gathered within the area of your footstool. They took upon themselves the yoke of Torah. Okay, this is a grammar Rashi. The Rashi explains the letter mem midabrisecha. Next Rashi, all your holy ones are in your hands, meaning all Israelites righteous and worthy to people remaining loyal to you and do not stop following you, and therefore you protect them, because Jews never give up. They crowd at your feet, they gather and enter under your shadow. They joyfully accept the decrees of the laws. And these are the words. Torah tziva lanu Moshe Torah. That Moshe commanded us. Meirasha is a legacy, is inheritance. Kehilas Yaakov, to the symbol of Yaakov. Ashes the Mishnah commanded us, and is an inheritance to the assembly. They've taken possession of it, and will never let it go of it. And when the king, when God becomes a melech, a king, when the totality of the people gather, Yachad Shifte Yisrael, and the tribes of Israel are together in harmony. Now she says, when is the Eibishter? When is God Yeshua and king? The yoke of his kingdom is always upon them. Bisase. When the gathering, the total numbers, people, Yidden are united. When Jews are united, the Eibishter is their king. When they are gathered together, one group, and there's peace amongst them, he's their king. But if not, it's a problem. Yechi Reuven v'Hayamis, may Reuven live and not die. May his people be counted amongst the number of tribes. Now she says, Yechi Reuven in this world, v'Hayamis la'ilam haba. He should also merit to the world to come. Why? Because the incident of Bilah not mentioned to discredit. Mesa Mispar, meaning may they be counted amongst the number of the rest of his brothers. This is similar to the idea stated in the verse. Reuven had a relation with Bilah, and then the pasuk says, and the children of Jacob were 12, because everybody was holy ultimately. Everybody, because Yaakov had all 12 righteous children. And this is what he said to Yehuda. He said, Shema Hashem Kol Yehuda, God should listen to the voice of Yehuda and bring him safely to his people. Yad of Rav Loi, may his hand do battle successful for him. And may you help him against his adversaries. Now she says, Moshe Rabbeinu put Reuven together with Yehuda because they were both Baalei Tshuva. As it says, for the wise knowledge, to them alone the land was given, no stranger passed between them. Our fire rabbis further explained that throughout the 40 years of the Israelites who were in the desert, Yehuda's bones was rolling in the coffin as they were carrying him through the desert to be buried in Israel. Yehuda's bones were rolling in his coffin because it said, I sinned against my father all times. And he felt that he's not going to have Olam Haba. So Moshe Rabbeinu caused Reuven. So Moshe Rabbeinu caused him to calm down, and he told him that don't worry, you're going to have everything. You made Reuven confess it was Yehuda, so Reuven been granted entry into the afterlife, and so too you will have the afterlife. Shema Hashem Kol Yehuda. God should listen to the voice of Yehuda. What is he talking about? David and Shalom and Asa, on account of the Cushites, to the Yeshaphat, on account of the Ammonites, and to Cheskia, on the account of Sancherib. God should listen to the kings of Yehuda. Not just to bring his people back in peace from battle. Yad of Rav Loi, may they take up the cause and carry out his vengeance. Rashi says, Moshe Rabbeinu was praying for Yeshaphat regarding the fight in Ramat Gilad, which says his Shafet cried out and God assisted him. Another explanation, Shema Hashem Kol Yehuda, really this alludes to blessing of Shimon within the blessing of Yehuda, because Moshe Rabbeinu didn't mention Shimon in his blessings. So the tribe of Shimon received their territory within the portion of Yehuda. That's number one. As it says, within the portion of tribe of Yehuda, inheritance of Shimon. And why did Moshe not sign the tribe of Shimon their own separate blessing? For he felt they were unworthy because what happened is Shittim. So it was written, Agada, Medrash, Tilem. So that's why the word Shema Hashem, you have the name of Shimon in the blessing of Yehuda. And that completes the Chumash for today. We now go to the Tanya of the day. We are starting a new letter of the Alter Rebbe, the 23rd letter in the Ageres HaKodesh. In the letters of the Alter Rebbe, holy letters of the Alter Rebbe. The letter that follows the Alter Rebbe urges Chassidim to devote daily intervals between Mincha and Ma'ariv of groups to study Ayin Yankiv. And Ayin Yankiv is a book that was put together of all the stories of the Talmud. It's called Ayin Yankiv, the Eye of Jacob. And the laws of Shulchan Aruch that are frequent and a practical application, learn Jewish law. He introduced this about by explaining how sublime the divine presence that dwells within Jews when they study Torah publicly. That's why Jews would gather in the shul on, between Mincha and Ma'ariv. They were in shul. So that's the right time to come and learn Torah, to study some words of Torah. Indeed, only the will to come can this lofty level of divinity be manifest, received as a reward. Except when it abides over Jews and within Jews, when in this world they study Torah together, and when Yidden come together and learn Torah together. Page, I'm tied 1123. The statement is made by decree of a wakeful angels and by the words of those holy ones. This phrase is used by the sages and here by the Alter Rebbe to denote eminent Torah scholars or likened to the ministering angels, specifically Chachmei HaMishna, Aleim HaShalom, the sages of the Mishnah, peace be on them. That they learned in this Mishnah and Pirkei Avos, 10 Jews sitting. That learned Torah, 10 Jews come together. That's a minyan. That's why the Alter Rebbe spoke between Mincha and Ma'ariv. There's a minyan by Mincha, so you have automatically 10 people. And then they'll sit and learn Torah. Shechina Shruya B'neiim. The Shechina, the presence of God, rests in their midst. Similar teaching, the Shechina hovers over the gathering of 10 Jews, meaning only that the divine presence hovers over them in a transcendent encompassing manner. Explained in Tanya chapter, the beginning of Tanya chapter 11. In this instance, it says Shruya B'neiim. It says 10 Jews come together, even though they're coming together, conversation, God hovers above them. But 10 Jews that learn Torah together, the Shechina rests, Shechina Shruya B'neiim, that not just hovers above them. The Shechina is actually in their midst, in an internalized manner. Zeh kol adam, for the whole purpose of man. Gemara interprets the verse, the entire world was created solely for this purpose, learning Torah. Moreover, the soul's descent in this world was for the purpose of this ascent, which is accomplished to go above, which is accomplished to public Torah study. There's no greater ascent than this concept of learning Torah together. The ultimate ascent of the soul, the reason for which the soul initially descended, is attained not only after it completes its descent, after it leaves the body, rather through public Torah study. While the soul is within the body, it causes the Shechina to rest, and that's really the whole accomplishment. In Lamaila, that is a revelation of godliness, it's not a chachma. It's in this world that we have the avodah to bring godliness in the world. And that's the way, and that's the whole purpose. For the Shechina, God's might, which is in the supernal heights, and who's awesome, the heavens and the heavens of heaven cannot contain. The Eibush is Kaddish, Kaddish, Kaddish. Even the angels of the highest worlds say God is above. Tishke with this God of Israel, but it dwells. The Shechina dwells and becomes manifested amongst the children of Israel. Shekasa, the verse says openly, Kani Hashem, I am God. Sheichem b'sepnei Israel, I dwell amongst the children of Israel. How does God dwell amongst the children of Israel? Is the result of the study of Torah and observance of his commandments. At least 10 Jews come together. As is brought down by the rabbis of blessed memory, who say, Asya tech tech, the statement in the Zohar, we refer to the conclusion of tech tech. In a certain specific case, the sages draw an analogy from one expression of Torah, the identical expression in a different context. A comparison called the Gzeda Shava. This Gemara, it's between two appearances of two words. One verse states, I will become sanctified in the midst of the children of Israel. While another verse says, referring to the 10 spies, that dispatched by Moshe, it states, from the midst of the congregation. Teich Kahal Yisrael. So you have two words, teich, teich. From this we learn that a congregation, recital, or a text involved sanctifying God's name, requires a decorum of 10. So there we learn that they need a minion. Teich, teich. Yes, Yitzchak Shtesh in the 5th of 6th Lubavitcher Rebbe asks, of all possible contexts, why does the sage derive this rule from an evil assemblage of spies? Concerning who the above quoted verse, fact states, separates itself from the mystic congregation, answering its own question, the Rebbe explains that within these words, Moshe sought to insulate the people from a makif of evil, from the transcending the most intense dimension of evil. As far as pnimi of evil was concerned, the permeating but less intense dimension of evil, Moshe was able to rectify it. Now, since everything in the realm of holiness has its counterpart in Klippa, in the forces of evil, it follows that the level of holiness refers to here is transcending level. Thus, when a congregation of at least 10 participate, engage collectively in Torah study or in observance of mitzvahs, they elicit a respected response from the transcendent level of divine light. And an makiv, that's what the Torah teaches us, the Frierdiker Rebbe has told us. The Torah teaches us that in the negative, they have the positive. Look what these 10 people, they had the capability of accomplishing. 10 guys, between the millions of people, they had the capability of accomplish something far beyond that they could ever imagine. They kept the Jews in the desert 40 years. That whole generation died. They brought down such a makif, such a power that it affected Yidden, that generation for sure. So you learn to the positive. Can you imagine 10 Jews come together and learn Torah? 10 Jews come together and daven together. Wow, what an accomplishment it has. It brings down an Ur Makif, it brings down a much greater light. And that's what the Pasuk says, Bekir the Holy One is within you. This means that it says the level of divinity, which was holy in the sense that's entailed is distinct from this world, is thereby drawn down, integrated with 10 or more people. As the Rebbe explains in the above mentioned talk, the Alter Rebbe had spoken earlier for the transcendent degree of illumination that merely encompasses one. At this point, he cites the phrase, the Holy One is within you, to indicate that this encompassing illumination can also become internalized within a Jew when you have 10 Jews come together. As we know, the Gemara says that you cannot say Kedusha, you can't say Baruch Hu, you don't say Kaddish if you don't have 10 Jews. And thus, in order to the holiness to be within you, it's necessary that the Torah be studied within a group of 10. And this explains why our sage of blessed memory to derive from the scripture an answer for the question, from where do we know that even one person who sits engages Torah? How do we know? We know we need 10. How do we know even one person that the Holy One, blessed be, sets a reward for him? The Mishnah derives it, that's from the verse. He sits alone and studies in stillness. Indeed, he takes the reward upon himself. Evidently, then the proof, a proof text was needed to show that individual study Torah is rewarded. But you don't accomplish what you accomplish if 10 people learn Torah. If 10 people learn Torah, it's a whole different reality. And even so, the sages, they only found support from this verse, only that he receives a reward. To a single person learns Torah. But only allotted reward to the individual, appropriate to him, and appropriate to in a portion to the many. If there are fewer than 10 individuals, the reward is divided equally amongst them, according to the version and its portion. And more individuals who participate, the greater the reward to each of them. So that's what the pasuk means. That Baruch Hashem, if you have 5 people that come and learn together, they'll all receive a greater reward. One person sits and learns together, learns by himself, he'll receive a reward. No question about it. The power of learning Torah is for everybody. But in the concept that you want to have the presence of God, there's no comparison. Now you have the presence of the Eibush, the greatest reward. The whole purpose of creation So 10 people come and learn together. You accomplish the purpose of creation with Hashras Hashchina, which to bring God into the world. And to make a distinction between the presence of God in your midst and receiving a reward, is understood to discerning thinkers. I don't have to explain to you the difference between that you're going to receive a reward or you're going to bring the Shekhinah into the world. Their differences is far unbelievable separations. And that completes the Tanya for today. Today is the 20th day of the month, which is chapter 97 to chapter 103. If you do those 7 chapters, you do the chitas of the day. The Rebbe writes, in Ayoyim for the 20th day of Tishrei, my father once said at a Farbrengen, I'll go first. During the movements of a lulav, one should touch his chest with a lulav at the spot where he hits his alchet, or shamnu. Where he says the shamnu, you should bring the lulav back to this place. So you should bring it always back to the left side of the heart. The Frierdiker Rebbe says, my father once said at a Farbrengen, at a Chassidic gathering, that this practice is similar to the idea that only through the earnestness before davening, when one is embittered over his sins, can he afterwards be emotional excitement in davening. So first, a person has to have a little bitter that he sinned, and then he can come and daven. That can, my friends, Mitzvah tomorrow is a Shana Rabbah. It's a big davening. So we will get together at 8:30. Be'ezrat Hashem. We'll get together at 8:30 tomorrow for chitas of the day, and then we'll have to wait till after Yontiv. But we'll get together tomorrow at 8:30. I wish you a wonderful, beautiful day. You can come and do some bounce houses at Chabad at 11 o'clock. And I wish you all a great last day of Chalamoid. Tomorrow is a Shana Rabbah.
Free pizza, free